All right, welcome back. Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show, and we got attorney Jason Kobal in the house coming up here in just a moment. We're going to talk about accidents, who covers the rental car, also personal injury and work comp law here in just a moment. Before we do, we always like to feature our real estate listings live on air on the show as a way to help our sellers sell faster. If you're thinking about selling a property, you should reach out to the Platinum MVP team, 727-263-3707. Also, if you'd like an introduction to any of our expert contributors, just reach out. We'd love to put you in touch. Actually had an uptick in calls last week. Lots of people reaching out, want to get introductions on our mortgage side. We got two great mortgage expert contributors, 727-263-3707. And a couple of listing calls too last week, people wanting to list their properties. So if you're thinking about listing a property, we can feature your property live on air, syndicated talk show, and get you maximum exposure. 13906 Bardmore Place, Unit B. In Tampa, another completely renovated and updated, beautiful home here in Tampa Bay. This one's in Carrollwood. This is 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bath, 1-car garage, almost 2,100 square feet, hurricane impact windows, brand new kitchen, stainless steel appliances, beautiful property. 13906 Bardmore Place is Unit B in Tampa. We should have an open house there this weekend as well. 605 Monterey Avenue, Clearwater. One of my favorite listings. Beautiful property. You've got a courtyard, no neighbor to one side, 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, 2,163 square feet. Newer water heater, roof, AC unit, circular driveway. Great opportunity. 605 Monterey Avenue in Clearwater. See all of our listings at platinumcoastalelite.com. All right, we're going to get into the student loan debate as well. Senator Ted Cruz weighed in on it, and I got a short clip I'm going to play. But Jason, welcome back. Attorney Jason Kobal, welcome back in, man.
Oh, thank you, Brandon. Always a pleasure.
Yes, sir. So what have you been up to lately, man?
Oh, not much. You know, I'm loving life, playing a lot of pickleball. The firm's doing great. I'm proud of my associate, my nephew. He's doing great. He just won a comp trial the other day for our client. It was wonderful. So, yeah, things are rolling.
That's cool, man. Yep. Yeah, I got to get out there and play some more, man. It's been a while. I haven't played since we played one of those last times. But
yeah.
I did a story, though, I thought about you. It was kind of funny because there was one of the highest areas impacted in the health field or the health industry is seniors. They're tearing knees and hurting themselves playing pickleball.
I have to watch myself. I'm so into it that like I won't take a rest day. And then you know, there's repetitive trauma injuries now. Like my elbow's starting to hurt a little bit. My shoulder. You gotta be careful.
Yeah, exactly. Start going with that left hand every now and then. All right, so let's jump into some real stuff here. So you got work comp law that you practice. You're also practicing personal injury. Tell us what's new in that accident space.
Well, you know, there's some changes to the personal injury law. The PIP law ended up staying the same. That was threatened to be changed, but it ended up not. The governor vetoed that. But other changes were made, which completely has changed personal injury law forever. The most significant one probably is our statute of limitations went from used to have 4 years to file suit. Now you only have 2. So that's a huge difference. You know, every state has their own statute of limitations, but that's one of the more shorter ones.
Let me pause there. I want to ask you a question about that. So what could bring? I mean, after 2 years, aren't you? I mean, isn't that an adequate amount of time? What's the argument against that? Like, oh, now I'm 2.5 years and I should have filed suit. What would be a scenario?
That's a good question. You know, I mean, just from the standpoint of every case is different, and some cases the injuries are so bad that, you know, say, for example, somebody who's going to get a spine surgery, and then after that, maybe a knee surgery, it takes time to recover.
Okay.
You know, and they might not even we might not even have their damages completely figured out by 2 years, you know, so it's definitely, it makes things more challenging, and it limits the exposure.
I get it. Yeah, they could be treating one way, trying to do a natural way, treating it, avoiding surgery, and then 18 months they're like, oh wow, maybe we should try to do the surgery. I understand, and it's not like the Hunter Biden cases, some of those tax cases where they purposely ran the clock out on some of these other allegedly, from what I hear, is they ran the clock out on these court cases dealing with the IRS payments, etc.
Yeah, that's disgusting. Yeah, and even the John Durham report, I was happy that some things got exposed, but for example, the HR's Hillary's plan The CIA sent, according to John Durham's report, sent a referral letter to the FBI, and it went to Comey and Strzok, instructing them to open an investigation into Hillary because she has a plan, I read back then in 2016, to dupe the public into thinking that Trump conspired with Russia to act as a distraction from her probe.
Exactly.
So they get that referral, and then they do nothing with it. They bury it, and 5 days later, they open the probe into Trump and Russia. I mean, that's just crazy. But to think that they knew about that plan in 2016. Here we are 7 years later. You know how many questions Hillary's been asked about that?
Right.
0.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
And now the statute's run. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
We're pretty much close. I mean, as close as you can get to a one-party state in all these different places. And I'll show you another one here. I'm going to play a clip here on the on Charlie Kirk talking about finally CBS, one of the major, traditional major players. Now, I think a lot of people now are getting their news from podcasts, Rogan, Tucker, etc. But here's Charlie Kirk on the importance of finally CBS talking about some of these issues out there in the public, dealing with 10% to the big guy.
Weren't allowed to ask about the big guy. That's a little bit of a wink and a nod to Tony Bobulinski. Remember when Tony Bobulinski was called the conspiracy theorist, smeared and slandered? Because Tony Bobulinski, who did business with the Bidens, said very clearly that 10% was set aside for the big guy. That whistleblower used the term big guy. The fact that CBS did this is pretty amazing. It means that the cone of silence is finally breaking. It's an earthquake behind the scenes that CBS did this. An earthquake. Let's play cut 66.
Based on all of the financial records that we did find, they've been analyzed. And it was around $8.3 million he received.
From who?
They came from China, from CEFC, came from Ukraine, and from Romania. I mean, to this day, there's still around $400,000 of unreported income from Burisma in 2014. And then the statute of limitations then expires in November, December of 2022. So those years are gone.
Democrats are always able to find ways to extend the statute of limitations against people they don't like. And they knew what they were doing. They were running out the clock. Hundreds of thousands of dollars of unreported income from...
I mean, look, if an average person like you or I, Jason, and I did a Facebook post about this at Brandon Rhymes PA, at Brandon Rhymes 1, and, if the average person did this, what would happen?
Oh, gosh, you'd be thrown away, or the key would be thrown away and be in jail for the rest of your life. I mean, it's crazy. The stuff they're pulling is outrageous.
It really is.
And I never, ever dreamt that I would see the day when I would see at our highest levels of our Department of Justice playing these games like this. I mean, it's just, I just thought that the bar was higher at that level. Yeah. And it's scary. And I don't know if Trump exposed this and it was always like this? I don't think so. I think it's.
I just heard a very interesting interview of Kirk with Ramaswamy Vivek, who's now in double digits.
He's amazing, that guy.
He's super smart, and he said, look, in his opinion, he said Trump didn't do all that he could do, and it probably wasn't his people. It was some big names around him that said, oh no, you can't do that, you can't do this. Yeah. But actually, he cited a law that said yes, you can if there's repetitiveness, if there's the other term for repetitiveness, I forget, duplicity. Basically, if there's so he said, look, you can get rid of some of these different alphabet agencies. It's in law. The president can do that. So it was very impressive. He's such a and he's the first millennial to run for president. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, it'll be very interesting to see how that plays out. I did want to get to this student loan topic as well. So student loans, of course, kind of a reverse Robin Hood, if you think about it that way, right? Let's steal from the poor, AKA contractors, garbage men and women, right on down the line, right? Painters, construction workers, the average earners, right? Let's steal from them, the ones that maybe didn't go to college, and some people do. Some people go to college and they end up, being a realtor. I mean, whatever it might be. So let's take from the poor and let's give to the people that are maybe in our demographic in terms of that upper elite Democrat wannabe, elite. And they're not elite because they are something special and did something, amazing in athletics or academics. No. They're elites because they're born into it. They're born on third base and they thought they hit a triple. These are people that, it's just unbelievable what they tried to do. But here, let's let I want to let Senator Ted Cruz kind of weigh in on this one.
We discussed several of them in an earlier pod last week. We're going to discuss two more today, two big decisions, the student loan decisions and the free speech, religious liberty decision coming out of Colorado. Let's start with student loans. In Biden versus Nebraska, the Supreme Court, by a vote of 6-3, struck down Joe Biden's blatantly illegal attempt to forgive student loans. It was an attempt right before the last election to buy a whole lot of votes. Joe Biden knew that it was lawless. He knew that he had no legal authority to do it. He knew that his lawyers almost certainly advised him this is contrary to federal statute, and he made the decision, screw it. I'm going to do it anyway.
Buying votes.
Because we got an election coming up, and we're going to buy votes. I'm going to tell people they're going to get their loans forgiven, even though, and I would wager dollar to donuts, his lawyers told him we're going to get sued, we're going to go to court, we're going to lose. And I do want to point out as we talk about this, when Biden issued this illegal student loan forgiveness plan, the next podcast we did a deep analysis on the law and why it was illegal then, that walks through the law and makes clear then what the Supreme Court has now ruled now.
Yeah, so it's all centered around this patriot, something to deal with patriots. In other words, if they're overseas working, we can, serving the country, people that are in the military. It's evolving around that, but that's what he tried to base it on. But everybody knew this was going to be. If you run the inner circle of that, you'd have been saying, "Hey, look, you probably don't have precedent here, right? You don't have a case."
I actually. On my Facebook account, the day that they announced this, I called it out for what it was, because there's no way. The only way that you could possibly, we wouldn't even want one of our presidents to handpick a certain group who's going to get this, whether, you're relieving debt for student loans or anything. You're basically giving them money for nothing.
Yep.
And, you're picking one group and all these other groups are SOL.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
The only way anything like this could possibly work would be if it passed law. It became law.
Legislature.
Right.
Senate.
That could work.
Signed
it's not going to happen.
Right.
Exactly. But what really gets me mad about this situation is it really wasn't even like he was buying votes. He wanted to make it seem like that, but he knew. I guarantee you he knew on day one, and he still knows today, that's never going to happen. Right now he's like, I disagree with their decision. They misinterpreted the Constitution, but then he doesn't explain how.
Right, exactly.
And then he says, now I'm going to do this plan B. It's none of these plans are going to work. It's all a show. He wants it to look like he's trying to get these people, debt relief.
Yep.
But in reality, he knows he has no chance.
And I hate to say this, but
most
of the voters are too dumb to realize it.
Sad.
But they're falling for it, and that's the game of chess. Who are they playing chess a little bit better than the GOP, or is it unethical? Is it an unethical part of the game? It's kind of like in football. Remember back in the day, I remember seeing this for the first time. You got you break the huddle. You got 10 people that go to the line of scrimmage. Football requires 11 for that don't know. And you leave one person standing just about 2.5, 3 feet from the sideline. You snap the ball, you throw it all the way to that one person that's standing on the side who, the other team would have thought, he's off the field. No, he's on the field. He catches the ball, he runs for a touchdown. Right? You see, he's bending the rules, but it's still, is it an ethical thing? Is it... I don't know. Well, right? No, but they're breaking the laws and they're getting away with it, and they're doing these misleading, misguided strategies. So we're going to take a quick break there. Jason Kobal Law, in studio with us here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes. Hey, follow us online. We'd love to connect with you at CQB Show, at Brandon Rhymes1 on Instagram, Twitter, Brandon Rhymes PA as well on Facebook, and Kobal Law has their Facebook page as well. Check them out, Kobal Law, Kobal. And more with attorney Jason Kobal here coming up on the Consumer Quarterback Show. We got cocaine in the cloakroom. Is that a topic, or do we want to talk about the weaponization of government, that ruling that just came out as well? We'll pick and we'll come back. We'll be right back here. Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Hey, I'm Ken Shamrock, and you're here with Consumer Quarterback Show. And I say, Brandon Rhymes, knock out your competition.
All right, Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show, in studio with Jason Kobal, attorney Jason Kobal here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm going to talk about this U.S. Subcommittee that ruled on the weaponization of government conspired with big tech. I'm going to talk about that in just a moment. I want to let you know about another hot listing that we've got, 1050 Farmingdale Lane in Newport Richey. This is another great listing from Roxanne on our team. 4 bedrooms, 3 bath, and 3 car garage. Pool home, 2217 square feet. Got a corner lot here, and this is a beautiful home as well. Check out the flooring and that lighter color kitchen. Just a gorgeous home here in Tampa Bay. And a black tile fireplace adds a luxurious feel to a focal point in the living room. Just a great opportunity to own real estate here. Farmingdale Lane, Newport Richey, one of our hot listings. We got a commercial property also at 7202 US Highway 301 South in Riverview. Corner lot location. Half of the property is a mechanic shop. The other half is operating as a barber shop, but of course it could be a professional office, real estate attorney, insurance, any type of office there. See all of our listings, PlatinumCoastalElite.com. That's PlatinumCoastalElite.com. Somewhere sunny and 75. All right, Attorney Jason Kobal in the house, and we kind of teed this up. We're going to play this clip here about the House Subcommittee's ruling or findings here on how big tech colluded and the industrial censorship complex.
The U.S. Subcommittee on the Weaponization of the Federal Government said in a new report released on Monday that an agency within the Biden administration's Department of Homeland Security conspired with big tech to censor American online speech.
Joining us to discuss is Daily Wire reporter BrandonR. So, Brandon, we've covered this purported government big tech collusion, in particular the so-called industrial censorship complex that was coined by the Twitter Files reporters. Now, this House subcommittee is essentially corroborating that reporting. What's the latest?
Hey, Georgia, correct. It's more proof of what some Americans have possibly thought was happening, but couldn't totally prove, except now we can. So the committee obtained non-public documents from the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, or CISA for short, which revealed that officials within the agency considered creating a so-called anti-misinformation rapid response team, but instead outsourced the censorship operation to a third-party non-government organization that they funded. But the lawmakers said that the most damning portion of this report was that the agency scrubbed any proof of surveillance or censorship activities from its website.
Yeah, so Jason, this is the judge finally we have a ruling here. And what's interesting too is as you see the reaction, it seems like the radical left has taken over almost every other, universities, the different parts of our government. Supreme Court is the one that's still somewhat balanced and conservative, leans conservative, but it's interesting to see how these rulings are playing out and how this committee's unraveling this.
Yep, it's a step in the right direction. Because, by now we all know what happened the last month prior to 2020 with Biden's laptop there. And I can't believe 51 agents signed that bogus letter that said nothing.
With no recourse.
Right, nothing. None of those guys are in trouble for doing that. And the social media giants, through the FBI telling them to do so, literally stopped the truth from going out to the
Twitter
voters.
Files.
Yeah, for an entire month. They pushed a lie that it was Russian misinformation, and they kept the truth from the voters. Never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
And that is undeniable election interference. It's
exactly.
disgusting. But what are you going to do?
Right.
Arrest the whole media? Because they were all in on it. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. Defund them. You got to defund them. You got to, who knows? We'll see.
There's this weird, I get it that all these, the media outlets are owned by a couple billionaires, and, they're going to run their companies the way they want it run. But the way the media and the DOJ is intertwined, and then they leak out information to the media that they want a narrative created. Yep. It doesn't even matter what the actual truth is in these cases, but by the time the thing gets to trial, people's minds are already made up. Yep. The way they leak out the information, but it's pretty messed up right now. The way that our political establishment in DC and our mainstream media outlets are intertwined and doing their dirty work. And what happened to journalism?
They do their bidding.
Yeah.
That's right.
I mean, I remember growing up, I used to have a high regard for journalists. I'm like, wow, they're like, fighting for truth and, willing to, call people out and do what they have to do to call truth to power. But now it's just, they're just doing the bidding of the political establishment and their billionaire owners.
There's only a few good ones now. You look at, there's probably several, but for word's sake, you say few. But you think about like a Veritas, like Project Veritas, and then O'Keefe Media Group. Now, I mean, this guy's undercover. But that's the new media.
Right.
That's the new media. And then that gets shared on Insta, Facebook, etc. True Social. But yeah, we got a couple minutes left. I wanted to give you the last couple minutes to talk about the other Trump indictments.
Yeah, I maybe I'm an optimist, and maybe this is silly. But I have faith. There's an opportunity here for our judges. I know the judge on the documents case is a great judge here in Florida.
Yep.
I'm not too familiar with the judge up there and the other case, but I pray this is the opportunity to save our country from this madness. They need to dismiss these cases. Right. They're going to have an opportunity. The motions are being filed as we speak.
Yes.
There's going to be a motion to dismiss on the documents case. There's going to be a motion to dismiss on the other case. There's good reason to do so.
Yep.
Just looking at the Durham report.
Yep.
Our country went through $30 million. The Trump-Russia nonsense, 3.5 years of his presidency.
Yep.
On bogus, complete nonsense. And then they just haven't stopped. It's just one investigation after the other. And these are the latest two that they actually filed indictments on. I pray, and I predict, actually, I think this is going to happen. I think the judges are going to say, no. Enough is enough.
Yeah.
Dismiss both of them, and then let the voters decide who they want as their president. Don't interfere and have this guy going to trial months before the election. That's crazy.
Aristotle said the greatest of all traits, courage. That's going to take courage. That's going to take courage.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to try to stop their lawfare, because that's what it is. It's like warfare, but it's lawfare. Like you said, keeping them on the ropes. This constant on the, got you on the ropes. You got to file this answer. You got to file, answer that complaint.
Oh yeah.
Constant draining of the president's resources. The guy that gave up everything to run for president. All right, Jason, always a pleasure, man. How do you want people to connect with you?
TampaWorkCompLaw.com, or call the show, or social media, Kobal Law.
727-263-3707. You can call or text 727-263-3707. Online at consumerqb.com. We'll put you in touch with Jason. We had a great show today. Chris Lotbala, Pinellas County Commission, Attorney Jason Kobal as well. We want you to please go out there and consider committing a random act of kindness. Do something kind for one another, and please pray for our country. We'll see you next time.
You've been listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.